You wake up early not because you're inspired, but because you've trained yourself to. The alarm goes off, your body moves before your mind does, and the day begins without debate. This looks like discipline, and discipline is respected. It's praised quietly. People trust disciplined men. No one questions a man who is always consistent, always reliable, always busy. That's why discipline can become dangerous. It gives you moral protection. It gives you an identity that feels unquestionable. You stop having to justify your choices, even to yourself. And slowly, discipline stops being a tool and becomes a hiding place. You don't feel lost because your life looks organized. You feel lost because organization replaced intention, and no one warned you that this could happen. Most men don't realize they're lost because being lost no longer looks like failure. It looks like responsibility. It looks like maturity. It looks like a man who does what needs to be done without complaint. Society doesn't raise red flags when you live like this. It rewards you. Your calendar is full. Your schedule is tight. Your habits are locked in. You wake up, work, train, eat, sleep, repeat. There is structure everywhere, and structure feels safe. But safety is not the same as direction. Internally, something feels off. Not loud enough to panic, not painful enough to quit. Just a constant, low-level sense that your effort isn't leading anywhere meaningful. You tell yourself this is normal. You call it adulthood. You call it discipline. You assume that meaning is something that arrives later, after enough years of consistency. And discipline helps you postpone that question indefinitely. It keeps you busy enough to avoid stillness. Because stillness is dangerous, stillness forces reflection, and reflection forces honesty. So instead of asking why you're doing all of this, you tighten the routine. You add more structure. You wake up earlier. You work harder. You convince yourself that intensity equals progress. But motion without aim is not progress. It's endurance. And endurance, when misdirected, slowly becomes a form of self-abandonment. Discipline without direction creates one of the strongest illusions a man can live inside. It feels productive, but it doesn't feel alive. You're moving every day, yet you're not arriving anywhere. You spend energy constantly, but nothing feels earned. That's because effort only has meaning when it serves a destination. Without a destination, effort becomes tolerance. And men are exceptionally good at tolerating the wrong things. You tolerate jobs that no longer challenge you. You tolerate routines that drain you. You tolerate expectations that were placed on you years ago by people who no longer live your life. Discipline makes this tolerance look respectable. But respectability without intention is just prolonged avoidance. Here's the truth most men never hear clearly. Discipline is not a compass. It doesn't tell you where to go, it only helps you move faster. And if your direction is wrong, discipline doesn't save you. It accelerates the mistake. That's why some of the most disciplined men feel the most trapped. They've built identities around being reliable, consistent, and in control. Admitting they're lost feels like betrayal. Not to others, to themselves. Because if you're disciplined, you're supposed to have answers. You're supposed to be ahead. You're supposed to know what you're doing. So instead of questioning direction, you double down on routine. You push harder. You tell yourself that resistance builds character. And sometimes it does. But not all resistance is growth. Some resistance is a warning. Discipline trains you to endure discomfort, but clarity teaches you which discomfort is worth enduring. When clarity is missing, discipline becomes a way to avoid responsibility for the direction of your life. It's easier to follow a schedule than to confront uncertainty. It's easier to stay busy than to admit you don't know where you're going. Being lost doesn't always announce itself with chaos or collapse. Sometimes it arrives as numbness. You stop feeling excited by progress. You stop feeling proud of milestones. You reach goals that once mattered and feel nothing. And because nothing is technically wrong, you keep going. You tell yourself you're ungrateful for wanting more. You tell yourself this is as good as it gets. But wanting alignment isn't weakness, it's awareness. The problem isn't that you lack discipline. The problem is that discipline quietly replaced vision. You're using structure to avoid stillness, because stillness would force decisions you've been postponing for years. Look closely at your routines, not emotionally, realistically. Ask yourself a question most men avoid. If these habits continue unchanged for the next 5 years, where do they actually lead? Not ideally, not hypothetically, realistically. What kind of life do they produce? What kind of man do they shape? Direction is revealed not by intention but by repetition, and if your repetitions are running on borrowed momentum, discipline will quietly lock you into a future you never consciously chose. That's how men wake up one day with stability but no fulfillment, order but no meaning, control but no purpose. The hardest realization isn't that you're lost. It's that you've been lost for a long time while appearing successful. Because now the cost of change feels higher. You've invested years of discipline into a path. You've built expectations around it. You've trained yourself to tolerate dissatisfaction. Discipline tells you to push through discomfort, but this isn't the discomfort that strengthens you. This is the kind that erodes you slowly, quietly, invisibly. Discipline should serve direction, not replace it. When it replaces it, discipline stops being strength and becomes a cage. You don't need more routines. You don't need more productivity systems. You don't need to wake up earlier or grind harder. You need to pause long enough to regain direction, to separate movement from meaning, to admit that consistency without clarity is just survival disguised as progress. This isn't about quitting everything. It's about questioning everything. Because a disciplined man who refuses to question his direction is capable of enduring almost anything, including a life that slowly drains him. If this message feels uncomfortable, that's intentional. It's not meant to motivate you. It's meant to interrupt you, to create a moment of awareness before another year disappears into routine. Discipline is powerful, but power without aim is wasted. Staying disciplined while lost doesn't make you strong. It only makes you lost for longer. And the moment you stop using discipline to hide and start using it to move with intention, something shifts. Not instantly, not easily, but deliberately. And for the first time in a long time, forward actually means something. There's a reason this realization feels threatening. Direction demands ownership. When you admit you're lost, you can no longer blame circumstances, timing, or other people. You're forced to confront the fact that many of your choices were made on autopilot, not because they were wrong, but because they were never fully examined. Discipline allowed you to commit without questioning, and commitment without questioning feels safe until you realize you've committed to a life you never consciously designed. That's when discipline stops feeling empowering and starts feeling heavy. Men are taught to endure, to push through, to suppress doubt and convert it into effort. That skill is valuable, but only when effort is aligned with intention. When it's not, endurance becomes a slow form of self-betrayal. You wake up one day and realize you've been loyal to routines that don't serve you, expectations that don't reflect you, and standards that were never truly yours. And because you're disciplined, you don't collapse under that weight. You carry it, quietly, for years. This is why so many disciplined men feel tired in a way sleep can't fix. It's not physical exhaustion, it's directional fatigue. It's the exhaustion that comes from moving forward without knowing why, from investing energy without seeing return, from doing everything right and still feeling wrong. And because discipline is praised, no one tells you to stop and reassess. They tell you to keep going, to stay strong, to stay consistent. They mistake your endurance for fulfillment. At some point, every disciplined man reaches a crossroads. not a dramatic one, a quiet one. A moment where he realizes that continuing is easier than changing. But changing is the only way forward. This moment doesn't announce itself with urgency. It arrives in silence, in the gap between tasks, in the space between achievements. And if you're not careful, discipline will push you straight past it. It will convince you that stopping to think is weakness, when in reality, refusing to think is the real risk. Direction doesn't require answers to everything. It doesn't demand a perfect plan. It only requires honesty about what no longer fits, about what feels empty despite effort, about what you keep doing out of habit rather than conviction. Discipline should be used to support that honesty, not suppress it. When discipline serves clarity, it becomes powerful again. When it replaces clarity, it becomes a shield against growth. You don't lose discipline by questioning your direction. You reclaim it. You take it out of autopilot and put it back under conscious control. Discipline is at its best when it's chosen daily, not inherited blindly, when it's guided by values instead of fear, when it moves you towards something instead of keeping you away from uncertainty. That shift doesn't happen all at once. It begins the moment you allow yourself to admit that being disciplined and being lost can exist at the same time. Most men never make that admission. They stay busy. They stay structured. They stay respectable. And they quietly trade fulfillment for familiarity, not because they're weak, but because they're disciplined. And discipline, when misused, can keep a man stuck longer than laziness ever could. Laziness creates friction. Discipline removes it. And friction is often the first signal that something needs to change. If you're hearing this and feeling resistance, that's not failure. That's awareness pushing back against habit. You don't need to act today. You don't need to make drastic decisions. You only need to stop pretending that effort alone guarantees meaning. Direction must be chosen. Clarity must be confronted. And discipline, when aligned with both, finally becomes what it was meant to be. A force that builds a life, not just sustains a routine.